Welcome back to Stauffer Garage, guys. Today's detail is of a 2000 Jeep Cherokee Laredo, and today's detail is definitely a disaster deep clean because this car, before the previous owner purchased it, was used to haul goats around a farm. So the carpet, the seats, everything you guys can imagine what that entails, it is definitely needing some cleaning. This will be a huge challenge for me, but luckily I got my carpet cleaner and extractor, I got my shop vac, I got all the tools I could possibly need to clean this car up. So if you guys are new, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, turn on notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new content coming out, and let's go ahead and get started.
So the first thing you want to do is always remove any trash out of the vehicle. This includes anything on the floor, anything in the back of the seats or in the cup holders, and the floor mats themselves from the car. Now because this car is so dirty and the seats need to be shampooed and cleaned desperately, the easiest thing you can do is remove the seats out of the car itself. It makes it so much easier to work on when they're on a bench or when they're outside on the floor, so that way you're not contortioning or missing spots on the seats. And this is exactly why I removed the seats. You can see that there is buildup along the center console. Underneath the seats themselves was absolutely atrocious, and the amount of gunk from the goats and everything else that is on the floor mats, I wouldn't have ever been able to get to if I did not get them out. I'm not really sure how they carried goats in the car, if the goats actually sat in the seats themselves or if they sat on the floor or in the trunk. I'm not really quite sure, but regardless, everything had to come out so that way I had access to everything to make sure I didn't miss any spots. Now these shots show you exactly why I removed the seats. It gives you access to everything, makes it so much easier to maneuver inside the vehicle, especially with a car this dirty. So I decided first to go after the seats and clean those up because with it being extra sunny outside and with all the interior work I had to do, it gave the seats time to dry. All the products that I use in today's video are going to be listed in the description box below. And for the carpet cleaning itself, I am using my drill brush, I am using my sandy extractor, and then I'm using this pump sprayer to pre-treat and soak any of the seats and the carpet on the interior. Now for these seats, you guys can tell how much dirt I'm actually removing. 2 passes was about right to get majority of the dirt out, and then I'm just using my all-purpose cleaner on the bottom of the seats and a microfiber towel to wipe them down. Now for the actual cleaner that I'm using in the extractor and then in the pump sprayer, it's just a generic carpet cleaner formula that I got from Home Depot. I have other ones that I've used as well, but this one actually does a pretty good job and it's pretty cheap, and it has some odor eliminator as well in the fluid. In every single one of these videos, I usually end up saying agitate the carpet with the drill brush. This is kind of a staple that I say from now on. So anyways, when it comes to agitating the carpet with the drill brush, be very careful with making sure you wear safety goggles because it will fling and spray it everywhere. I should have probably had long sleeves on, but at the end of the day, you know what? I took a shower afterwards, so we're all good. I made sure whenever I was dumping the dirty water that I captured it for you guys, because I know a lot of the times I haven't in the past, and every single time you guys asked me to, so I made sure I captured every single one of them for you. And the one from the inside is 10 times worse than the one here. Now for majority of jobs, removing the seats is definitely overkill, but for the jobs that I do in my videos or anything that hasn't been cleaned before, if you got a new used car, I would recommend go ahead and removing them and cleaning them. That way you know that you've gotten them all cleaned before, and then it's just maintenance thereafter. One thing I recommend that I did not do in this video in particular, but if you have cloth seats in your car and you get them cleaned like this or you clean them yourself, pick up several bottles of Scotchgard spray. One good thing about that is if you spray all your cloth seats with that, if you spill anything on them, it'll pretty much beat it to the surface and allow it to roll off and make it easier for cleanup. I think we can all agree that the seats actually turned out amazing so far. It's actually crazy. The actual color of them, they were much darker and browner, if you will, whereas they're actually a light gray after just doing a couple passes of the extractor. For the floor mats, I decided to pressure wash them first to get 99% of the dirt out of them, and then I used the same carpet cleaner spray in my drill brush to agitate and get the dirt out of those fibers. And to be honest, with floor mats, they're usually pretty caked with dirt, and they'll take a couple passes to get them completely cleaned. And then I use my extractor to soak up the excess fluid. When it came to the rear floor mats, that was a different story. The amount of red and brown sludge that came out of them, I can only believe that this is molasses from the corn that they gave the goats, or fecal matter or urine from the goat. I don't know, but the smell was quite intense once I started spraying them and extracting. It was something I've never smelled before. So I definitely did a couple passes with the extractor, with the drill brush, and with the pressure washer to get them clean. The one floor mat you can see here was actually by far the worst one, and you can just see the red fluid coming off them. It was intense. Despite the amount of this red substance that came out of these floor mats, they cleaned up really, really nicely. And like I said, the front ones were just majority of dirt, and those cleaned up nicely as well. Now that the seats and floor mats are cleaned up, I have those sitting outside in the sun. Going to go ahead and tackle the vacuuming at this point. I've mentioned it before, vacuuming is by far one of the most rewarding parts of detailing because it will get you about 80% of the way there when it comes to getting a car clean, especially of this magnitude. When it's this dirty and you vacuum it, it really makes it already look 80% better. So not only were the previous owners hauling goats in this car, they also were smokers, so you can see a lot of the ash buildup on the sides by the center console, and then also on the dashboard when I get to that part. This was also the biggest reason why I removed the seats, to make sure I could get to all this stuff that was caked in between. Just wouldn't have been possible to get to with different vacuum attachments. When vacuuming, I always recommend you have some sort of hard bristle brush. In this case, this is a smaller one that I use for a lot of the edging along the sides, or you can have a larger one as well. But use that to kind of get any rough spots that have some dirt or something that is kind of caked on. You can use that to kind of move it around, and then use your vacuum to suck it up a lot easier. In the vacuuming stage, I always try to remove as much as possible, so that way when I'm using the extractor, I'm not having the potential of clogging it. One spot to not forget is when you're doing your trunk is to lift up the back tailgate portion of it to find where your spare tire is. Make sure you clean around those edges, clean around the inside of the spare tire area, and then also clean underneath the actual cover. Now that the entire inside is vacuumed, it is now time to go ahead and start extracting the carpet. The first step is obviously, as always, spray down the carpet with your pre-treatment and then use your drill brush to agitate the carpet to get those stains loosened up, and then follow with your extractor to remove any of those stains. Now the passenger side area was probably the nastiest, and you can see here just the amount of crap that the drill brush is moving around. It literally was I think it was literally soaked and dumped with molasses, which the goats ate. I'm really quite sure. I'm not a goat farmer, but I was told that this is molasses, and that was what the smell was, which I don't know. I really don't know, but you can see that my extractor was definitely getting a workout. I had to do several passes of this area to get all this soaked up, and to be honest, you kind of get to a point here where you can get the carpet pretty clean on the surface, but it's definitely a point where I told the owner that replacing the carpet might be a good idea if they want to get all of the smell out and all of the stains out, because you kind of have diminishing returns at some point. But for the amount of work that I put into it, I would say that the carpets turned out amazing. The owners were super impressed, and if they want to replace the carpet in the future, that is definitely a direction that they could take. So for the carpets, I did this to the entire vehicle, where I did 2 passes with the drill brush, 2 passes with the extractor, and I would say that I got 90% to 95% of all of the stains out of the carpet. Now here is the worst dump I've ever had. It literally was like just the reddest, like motor oil consistency. It was bad. And this, like I said, was probably the worst spot of the entire interior. Now that the majority of the work and fun parts out of the way, the next step is to go ahead and use the all-purpose cleaner on all of the interior door panels, and then follow up with your topper coat. In this case, I always use Chemical Guys Silk Shine. It is kind of my go-to that I'm still loving, and it definitely helps with making the car look like that brand new plastic feel. Now for everyone watching this video, I highly recommend you pick up a set of these bristle brushes. They definitely come in handy with getting into the air vents, getting into those hard to reach spots with just a microfiber towel. If you want to check them out, I definitely have them linked in the description box below for you. They definitely help elevate your detailing job and make it easier to get your car completely cleaned. What I've been trying to do as I work through each panel of the car, I'll use the all-purpose cleaner first, the topper coat, and then I'll clean the windows on each panel as I go around. That way I'm not duplicating steps and kind of revolving around the car multiple times. It kind of just makes it a much easier process just to knock all of those steps out at once. If you guys have any tips on processes on how you clean your car and different ways that I can improve my efficiency, definitely let me know in the comments below. It is one thing that I am always trying to improve upon to make it much faster to get through these cars.
What do you think?
It looks great. I'm impressed.
I'm glad it turned out so well.
I will keep it clean.
There you go.
Oh, greatly appreciated. Oh my God.
Yeah, the front came out probably the best in my opinion.
Look at this. Oh God, I can't believe that guy used to haul sheep in this thing.
I know, right? You wouldn't even think that now. The dash and everything definitely cleaned up well, and so did the floor mats and the seats.
Great.
So,
Yes, I am truly impressed.
As you can see, the owner was truly amazed with the end result, and here are the before and after shots that you guys have been waiting for. So if you guys haven't already, leave the comment below, Goat Motel, and if you haven't subscribed, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.